When should you upgrade your gear? That is the million-dollar question. I get PMs about this topic all the time on whether people should be upgrading their units, their weapons, should they be upgrading at all? And in today's video, we're going to be talking about all of that. But first of all, if you're new to the channel, I upload PSO2 content daily. So if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the first thing that I want to get out of the way is, should you guys be copying what I do? And a lot of people have been asking me, hey Kero, you're going this weapon path, this unit path, why are you doing that? And they're just following along and upgrading their units in the exact same manner that I'm doing it. But I don't recommend you guys to do that, mainly because I foremost am a content creator, so I need to actually test out different sets of units as well as different weapons, do some comparisons so that I can give you my first-hand comparisons as well as impressions on each unit and each weapon. While if you're a casual player, you might not have the meseta or their time to farm for the offset, for example. This offset is pretty annoying to farm. I saw a video of someone who did 100 runs of Profound Darkness, the solo version, and they got like 2 leg pieces or something. So the drop rate is very abysmal. So I got extremely lucky. I got the arms and the legs, so all I had to do was buy the back piece because I just kind of gave up farming Profound Darkness. I was like, nah, this ain't worth my time. So I just went on to the market, spent 6 million, I bought my back piece. Obviously now the back piece and the arms are very expensive. I believe they're like 15 million, so it's kind of crazy there. But back to the topic at hand, and that is, should you be upgrading your units and your weapons? And unfortunately, the answer isn't as black and white as you guys would like it. It really is. It depends. And the reason I say that is because it depends on each individual person. For example, on my hero and on my ranger, I only do my dailies. So on dailies, the hardest difficulty is super hard, so the mobs aren't exactly very strong. If you look at my hero's gear over here, you'll notice that my gear is actually very mediocre. I'm using a Revulsio sword plus 30. This one is from the weapon collection folder. I'm using 2 Dio weapons just so that I can weapon swap. And the units, I'm just using the Stella walls. They're not even plus 10. And I'm really just using them for the augments, and I don't even have a left ring. And the reason why I can do this on the hero is because my hero legitimately just does her dailies. She doesn't do any content in the game which requires better gear than this, at least for me, because I'm able to blast through all the content relatively quickly in an efficient manner so that I'm able to complete all of my dailies and all the content that I want to do on this character. So she doesn't need better gear. Like, sure, I could upgrade her sword and give her, like, you know, a nemesis weapon or a raven weapon and so forth and so on, but I don't need to, because the content I do on this specific character doesn't require all that gear. While if we look at my ranger, she's even more basic. She's still using an elder rifle and has got 0 augments on it. It's just a +1 weapon, nothing special about it. My units, she's still using a Brisa set, and it's the one that you get with your rising weapon badges. Like, you know, it's nothing special. And the reason I can get away with this is simply because my ranger only does dailies as well. So there's no need to spend my resources on these 2 characters, mainly because all they do is dailies. And my current gear on these characters is more than good enough for the content that I do. While if we jump back to my main character, you can see that, you know, she's still using a nemesis weapon, which isn't that amazing, but the units that she's using is much better than the other 2 characters. And that's simply because my braver does all the content. She's the character that I use in the front lines to learn everything, to experiment, to test things, as well as just enjoy the game, as she is the main character. And thus I invest a lot into her. However, did I really need to upgrade my units from my union set to my offset? The answer honestly is no, because I wasn't struggling with any of the content. All I wanted to do was I wanted to future-proof myself, because I saw that, hey, the Ophistia weapon's coming in and it has some synergy with the off's legs piece. And so I was like, you know what, maybe I should just go the full offset plus the Ophistia weapon. That way there are 2 set synergies and maybe that'll be very strong. So it was more like curiosity, and that's why I decided to invest into this. However, most players out there don't have that much time to play the game. So let's say you've been playing the game, 30 minutes every single day, mainly just going in, blasting through your dailies, and maybe doing an urgent quest or two when you have the time. Then you most likely won't have as much Meseta as I do, and you might not have all this trash gear sitting around with great augments in order to use it as fodder to create your most ideal unit or your most ideal weapon. And thus players like that, I recommend you guys to just stick with regular stuff, the cheaper things, such as the Klesis set or even the Ivlida set, because those are very easily accessible. I believe you can get a good Ivlida set with like 300k, 500k on the player market. And then when you have time on the weekend, maybe do a couple buster quests and upgrade your Ivlida set into your Klesis set, and you're good to go. You don't need to get the best in slot. A lot of people are so stressed out over getting best in slot that they're killing themselves. They finally get best in slot, and then they find out in the next update that there's a whole new tier. And then they just burn out because they're like, oh wow, I just wasted 100 hours farming for this unit, I finally got it, and now you're telling me that it's not the best anymore? And that is because the global server is moving at an accelerated pace. We're getting new story as well as new gear like every 2 weeks. It's kind of crazy how fast we're moving, but it is this way because they're trying to get us ready for New Genesis, which is going to come out next year. So they really want us to be caught up with the JP servers, which already finished the story at the conclusion of episode 6. So they're really trying to push us so that we can catch up there too, so that when we finally finish episode 6, then they might do the surprise release of New Genesis. And that's why we're at this insane accelerated rate, which makes me want to really stress the point that, hey, there's no need to rush your gear. There's no need to farm and go crazy for the best in slot. Mainly because once you get the best in slot, it's only going to be best in slot for at most a month or two. And then there's going to be better gear than that. Unless, of course, we're at the end of episode 6 and, there's nothing left. Then, of course, we could just go ham. But until then, please enjoy the game, please take it easy, do what you like to do in the game, right? The end game of PSO2 is determined by you, whether it be fashion, whether it be gear, whether it be grinding, it depends on what you enjoy doing. Like I've said many times, I like to just sit in the lobby and just chat with my alliance members and just troll around in the lobby. Like my endgame is literally sitting around and just chatting with my alliance members and not farming for the best in slot for the best gear. So please don't stress out over getting best in slot, okay? Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about in today's video. Hopefully it was helpful. If it was, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
Can I say except you're welcome for the heals, the boosts, the